7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, two, three.
He's lived it, he's done it, he has the experience. That's number one. Number two, and I tell this story about you all the time. I love to tell this story. He led the efforts for pension reform in New Jersey. So, you know, the first thing that I did when I led similar efforts in New Hampshire was to watch YouTube videos of him. Now, I didn't use quite the same language. I didn't quite tell it the way it is, the way he does, but I was pretty close. But what did it tell me about him? First of all, I got the chance to interview Governor Christie when I filled in for Jack Heath on the New Hampshire Today show on WGIR. You should always listen to that every Wednesday morning. And Jack let me have Governor Christie as a guest. Well, guess what? He was the first person to outline an entitlement reform package. Now, it's easy to say what you're going to do, but if you've done what you've said you're going to do, and that's what he did with pension reform, that means something. And it means a lot when you have $18 trillion in accumulated debt and deficit, and you need somebody that has the guts and the courage, as Governor Christie does, to tackle Medicaid reform, Social Security reform, and Medicare reform. We can't give this country to the next generation of Americans without stabilizing the entitlements that we have in this country. He's the only person that's had the backbone and the guts to do it and to put out a plan to do it in Washington. And third, you know, I'm a guy that likes to get things done, just like you. Sure. He's wearing a blue shirt, right? Yep. New Jersey's a blue state. He's a conservative Republican governor who's been successful. How does that happen? He listens a lot. He works with people. He's willing to let other people's good ideas be part of the discussion. And he brings people together. He understands that you don't always get everything you want, you don't always get your way, you're not a dictator, you're a leader. That's the difference. That's why Governor Christie's the complete package. That's why in less than 2 months, on February 9th, I think you're going to see him challenging Mr. Trump for the New Hampshire primary. And if we send him across the finish line, we're going to send him to the White House. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Governor Christie.
Thank you, Jed. That was great.
Thank you.
All right. It's good to have Jeb Bradley on your side, isn't it? That's a good thing. Jeb, thank you very much. And thank you to all of you for being here. I do remember being here, Mr. Schmidt, on 4th of July, being right in this room with a significantly smaller group of folks, talking about the 4th of July and how important the values of our country were. and are each and every day in terms of not only what we teach our kids, the example we set for the world. And being here in Wolfeboro on the 4th of July and March, Pat, I bring group tonight in New York City called Ball. I know, and they had committed to this apparently a long time. Happy I am to be in New Hampshire. In a really, really significant way. We were talking about a lot of really important issues before 3 weeks ago, or Jeb mentioned entitlement issue, and we were talking about education and the affordability of higher education. We're talking about growing more jobs in our economy by fixing this really rigged tax code, making the taxes in 15 minutes, not 15 days. Make sure that corporations, again, in this country that want to do this, I started to try to remind people that the single most important the President of the United States. And that's the most important thing a president does. But you know, in this country, and lots of things to grab our attention. I didn't get as many questions. Three weeks ago, on a Friday night, I was sitting and came back from a long day of campaigning in Iowa, got back to my hotel room at the Des Moines Marriott, turned on the TV, all with my own eyes what I'd been hearing in dribs and drabs during the day. From the moment you were watching it was that it was going to get worse before it got better, that there was going to be more loss of life than what they were estimating in the beginning. You knew that this was a coordinated attack on purely innocent people. And as I sat there on September 11th, 2001 in this country, New Jersey, on September 10th, 2000, I took the day off. Change. And they time. Mary Pat and I had 3 children. At 5:30, left the house. And finally, when she got to Midtown, found a payphone that was working. And that's where she was calling me from. So I left to go pick up the kids. I was able to tell them their mom's okay. And we're going to get her home. Highlands at the Jersey Shore. Right up to the dock, watch the boat come in and pick your loved one off the boat. They blocked us about 3 blocks away and wouldn't let us come any closer. So I stood on the street outside He was soaking wet from head to toe I ever got in my life. Advent of Facebook, every year on his father with big armies, it's going to be folks like ISIS and Al-Qaeda who are trying to impose upon us their religion and their way of life to win. Now, as our country confronts that issue, all those other issues seem real small now, don't they? See, because if we don't get this right, if we don't get this right, on the 11th, for it. That maybe is not the most entertaining thing in the world, but I guarantee you it's behind the desk in the Oval Office come January of 2017, after the mess that this president has left this country in. You're going to want somebody who's going to sit in that chair. Business. Right? And it doesn't mean everyone you're going to agree with, but you're not going to ever worry that I will share the responsibility that you'll place on me if you give me that opportunity. And it's the president gets on television last Sunday night and says, what we're doing is working just fine. Follow me. Listen, everybody, he's wrong. But not only that, we're wrong as a country because we elected him. Okay? We're wrong because we didn't take into account that you cannot put someone in the most consequential decision-making job the world knows who's never had to make a consequential decision in his life. And it doesn't matter whether you agree with that person's ideology or you disagree with it. It doesn't matter whether he was a Democrat or a Republican. When you put someone in that job who has never had to make a consequential decision in their life, they may sound really great. They may read the teleprompter wonderfully. They may give a really good speech. But giving a good speech, sounding exciting, looking handsome, looking great in a suit, doesn't make decisions. It is what's in here, and what you have done with your life that gives you the ability and the wherewithal to be able to confront a job as big and tough and consequential as the presidency. And we do not need, nor can we afford, 4 more years of on-the-job training, whether it's for Hillary Clinton or for anyone else on our side of the aisle who's never had to do this. Let us not make the same mistake again that we made 8 years ago, but just have a different label on it. Let's be smart. Let's pick someone, because when you've done it, you know how to do it again. So today is day 51 for me in New Hampshire. My 37th. You know that already. Mary Pat has been here. She deserves some recognition and support as well from all of us. Because it's New Jersey. So I have heard that there are some candidates who principal likes to answer, and then they answer those questions and pretend that of candidates who do. All right, so we're not going to have that tonight. What we're going to have tonight is a New Hampshire Town Hall meeting where you get to ask me questions. Right there. And they're going to come to you with a microphone, right?
I'm from New Jersey.
There you go. Where from?
Washington Township, Bergen County.
Bergen County, Washington.
I know as governor, you're against to be part of what you want to do as president, to be against it or leave the states alone that have for it.
Well, let me first tell you about my position on medical marijuana. I would not have signed the. It was signed at 3 o'clock in the morning on the day that I was. Physician. That's not easy to say. Sufficient physician oversight, and you have a marijuana being used in that way. But I do have a significant problem with recreational use of marijuana, and as president, that it happened in this country. And if Congress voted to change it, I'd veto it. Because for our country. So medical marijuana, as long as it's recreational use, I'm not. Sure. Go take Britt a.
I'm from New Jersey as well.
Yeah, about this, huh? I swear we didn't pack the house, I swear. With New Jersey license plates outside.
And you ran with, and you were elected with a woman.
I was.
Kim Guadagno. Would you consider a woman vice president?
Sure. Worked. Kim was the prosecutor. She was an assistant U.S. lieutenant governor. Taken over the reins of the state in my absence. and done a really great job in continuing to promote business interests in the state and others. But I am the son of a very strong woman. And one of the things that we've spent a lot of time, Sarah, who's 19, and Bridget, who is society as a woman, that there is nothing that if they work hard enough, of a strong woman and the husband, wife, and a father teaches daughters that their value comes from inside them, not from who marry someday. There is no way that I ever do anything other than strongly consider having a woman for vice president. She was a man or a woman. Qualified to be president of the United States, and are they compatible? So thank you for asking. So, okay. Okay, don't worry.
Governor, how come so many people are leaving New Jersey? Yeah. It's rhetorical only. I liked what you had to say about security and defending our nation as being #1 priority of the administration. I think that's extremely important. And is how are you going to handle the part to bring people together, because it should be working for, and bipartisanship is we to hear how you can achieve.
I've said this a number that installs you into the office you've been elected to. You take an oath of office, not an oath of party. And I never forget I'm a Republican, because it's my core principles and beliefs. Because not only me, every member of Congress takes an oath of office too. And they need to be by the leader of the country, not only by your words, but by your you're going to put the country first. Now, unlike anybody else in this race, that's than Republicans in New Jersey. The longest streak of any state in America. So we're not like this color blue. Achieve the things we achieved in the 4 years in between, and it is because I understood to pursue my ideology. Build anything in government. So if you're not doing that, you're failing at your fundamental job. So early on during my time when probably the hostility towards the Muslim community in my state had never been higher. Remember, New Jersey lost over 900 people that day, the second most of any state in America other than New York. And so the feeling of loss and anger was not in here, it was right on the, you could feel it every day. And so part of my challenge as the leader of federal law enforcement in my community was, how do we build bridges to that community? Because also in New Jersey, we have the second largest Muslim American community of any state in America. Only Michigan has more Muslim Americans as their citizens than New Jersey. Was, we have to go out and start talking to each other. And so I went to mosques all around New Jersey, and I met with the people in those mosques so they could see me and I could see them. And what you realize over the course of time is that they're Americans too. And they love this country. And they care deeply about its future and their children's future. And you can't, and this is just common sense, everybody, you just can't. We're all look the same or same faith. We're hardly the same. We all come from different parents, different neighborhoods, different backgrounds. The first way you do it, to know people, let them. Secondly, when I found really good Muslim Americans in New Jersey who wanted to serve, and I appointed them to positions. I appointed a Muslim American lawyer to become a judge in New Jersey, a number of other Muslim Americans to important positions in the state, not because they were Muslim American, because they were good people. And when I appointed the judge, I took some heat from some people because of the misconception. A Republican at his confirmation hearing, a Republican senator, his first question was, explain to us, his name was Sohail Muhammad. He said, explain to us, Mr. Muhammad, what is jihad? Now, I got to tell you the truth. Sohail Muhammad knew less about jihad than I did. He was an electrical engineer who put himself through law school at night and had a law practice, raising his children. He and his wife knew nothing about jihad. But yet, because his name was Sohail Muhammad, this senator thought an appropriate first question out of the box was, can you explain jihad? There were some folks who said that he was going to enforce Sharia law from the bench in New Jersey. I got to tell you the truth. Sohail was interested in enforcing the laws and the Constitution of the state of New Jersey, and wasn't someone who in his own private life followed Sharia law, let alone wanting to impose it upon the people of New Jersey. So two, you have to put folks who are worth appointment into important positions if you believe that they're of the American government, the American Constitution, and the American way of life. And lastly, call what's happening in this country exactly what it is. We are, and I don't know why the president won't say it and why Mrs. Clinton won't say it. You know why I say it? Because it lets all the peaceful Muslim Americans know I'm not talking about are. Don't govern by euphemism, right? So, radical Muslim jihadists, we will send them to jail for the rest of their lives because under the law exactly the way they deserve to be treated, which is to lock them up. But I'll end by telling you this is the difference between having experience and having no experience. See, if you have experience, you know that you can because I have jailed for life terrorists who are to judicial positions in my state. I've done both. All right? And you just don't. With the same brush. Do we need to not admit Syrian refugees to this right now? You bet we should not admit Syrian refugees to this country. Not. That's not based on their religion. That's based
On kind of with what she was talking about, the young woman you spoke about that was in state has been, but I was going to say, as president, how would you see that a
And as you watch across our country the ravages of this opioid and heroin epidemic, as you watch it, you realize that there but for the grace of God go I. So we need to do more. We need to do more to give people the tools to help them. And if a president talks like that, from behind the presidential seal, it's going to be easier for that mother to talk to a neighbor and say, my kid is sick. Where can I get help? And until we open that up, we're going to consign these people who have made this grave mistake in their life to a death penalty for something that doesn't merit it. And so that's what I do as president, is talk just that way about it. And
I'm Doug from Wolfeboro. I have two questions. They're related. The first is, what legal right does the United States have in government? And secondly, we have the right to
right to establish a no-fly zone in Syria by not being able to provide any control or safety for citizens in that country. The number one, as we said in the beginning, is to provide safety and security of their people. And they're placing that burden on the rest of the world. Western Europe, and the rest of the parts of the Middle East, and now according to the President of the United States of America as well. And so the legal right in my mind comes from the faith on the rest of the world. Not to mention the nearly 250,000 Syrians who have been murdered by their own government. Zone in Syria, so that those Syrian refugees don't become refugees. Dictator who started this problem in the first place. So they've lost their credibility to be able to make that argument on a moral basis because they're killing people in Syria right now, not to they were acting in a civilized and moral way, might have the very same argument that we have. At least to partner with Iran than protecting the Syrian or defeating ISIS. Bombs in them, as long as someone is. I don't. We're now waiting 5 weeks. There's plenty over there, but they're bombing people. Millions of people looking for shelter. About their sovereignty. They have absolutely forfeited their right by not protecting for the safety and security of their own people. So that would be my rationale for it. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's the easy part. It makes no sense for the government to take over the healthcare system of this country. I've read the Constitution. I can't find healthcare with the federal government to begin with. But I think the 10th Amendment gives us a real clue to establish the healthcare system within their own state that serves their state best. People here in New Hampshire, 8.9 million people into New Jersey. The most New Jersey. In New Hampshire, much of the access deals with your particular problem. See, I got to tell you the truth. I mean, they're everywhere, man. It's kind of like the way you all trip over state reps, right? I mean, right? Right? They're everywhere, right? So that's an important. Do that when the federal government's running it. Secretary of Health and Human Services, good luck. And if you do get it there, you'll get a letter back that says, we've considered your issues and thank you for your input. Is right, or take your input and make some changes to it. The healthcare system that'll work for New Jersey is not the healthcare system that'll work for New Hampshire. Care. Why? Because they're losing Hope you have your shopping done. But even if you don't, I'm glad you're here. And I tell people all the time when I go back to New Jersey and they ask me what it's like to campaign for president in New Hampshire, I tell people all the time, if you have lost faith and confidence, if you've gotten cynical about politics and democracy and government, which we all have the right to do at times, I say to them, come to New Hampshire. Come and see a room like this. Citizens of a guy running for president, and you care deeply about what the results are going to be. That's, and it's incredibly affirming for me as a candidate. To me, right? You look at me and it was, welcome to New Hampshire. Like, well, thank you. It's good to be here. You say, you're in my top 3. All of you, I'm in your top 3. Exactly. That always confuses me, but I'm in your top 3. Told me months ago when he came to one of my I said, well, nice to see you, Mom. Good to be back home. Glad you're doing well. It's Friday. She said, what time is it? I said, it's 9:30 in the morning. She said, go to work. And I said to her, Mom, I just flew across the country to come and see you. I've decided to take today off from work. I'm going to spend the day with you, so don't worry about it. You, Mom. I said, I'm going to stay here with you. She reached over, she grabbed my hand, and she said, Christopher, go to work. It's where you belong. There's nothing left unsaid between you. It was the most everything in life was looking at me and giving me permission to let her go. And when I sat there and thought at that moment, she's right again. There are no deathbed confessions. I can't tell you how many times to me. And I thought, what's she talking about? I'm a kid. I don't get it. There were no deathbed confessions. There was nothing left unsaid. We had aired every gripe and complaint. We had I knew how much she loved me. And so I did as I was told. You know? She looked at me and she said, good boy. And 3 days later, she died. And I have to tell you that I don't have one regret about it. Not one. Because we lived the way she taught us. And I'm second, still not bad. What things he says? Does he say the things he says? Is he angry? Is he mad? Is he crazy? What's wrong with him? No. You know why. It's her. Right? It's her. That's the way I was raised. This was my mother. This is the way we were demanded to be that way. And so I'm not changing now. And I know that if my mother were still alive, to see this circus that my life has become, she'd have things to say, but I give you two for. You're running for president. I know who you are. Mother would want me to keep my feet on the ground. Okay, if you're going to do this, Christopher,